Hi, as requested, I'm gonna be reviewing Dr. Eric Berg's video called Depression Has Nothing to Do with Your Brain.
Depression has absolutely nothing to do with your brain. It has everything to do with your gut. So many people have been operating off of this idea. Depression is a chemical imbalance that you need to fix with SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
It's because humans don't understand the reason they eat food today. They believe that food is just something that you eat to get energy, just to somehow survive. They don't connect it to anything else, especially their mood. They don't understand that you eat something, it goes into your gut, you digest it, assimilate the nutrients, and then you essentially get rewarded, and these reward chemicals go to your brain if you eat good food. That would mean that you hunted down a really big and juicy animal in nature and now you eat it and you're rewarded by nature essentially. This understanding is gone today. Nobody gets it.
Well, this chemical imbalance theory has never been proven. In fact, in some studies, it shows that
There's a lot that hasn't been proven in modern medicine, but everybody talks about it as if it's common sense.
people that are depressed have normal serotonin or even higher amounts of serotonin. In your nervous system, you have all these different hormonal-like communications. One of them is serotonin. And serotonin does have an effect over your mood, just like dopamine has an effect of motivating you. But what an SSRI does is it blocks the uptake of serotonin. Let's say, for example,
It's funny that he shows exercise as if your body motivates you to do exercise. It's that your body believes that you're in a dangerous situation, which is why it motivates you to get out of the situation. Kind of the opposite of what he's saying. Okay, implying. He didn't actually say it, but it's clear. When you see that, you think, oh, my body motivates me to exercise, to do something that I hate. No, your body believes that you're in a dangerous situation because there's a lot of stress, and the dopamine is supposed to help you to get out of the situation of exercising. You understand? Really the opposite.
we have a marriage, right? We have a husband and a wife, and they're communicating. And the husband sends a communication over to the wife, but she's wearing earplugs. Okay, that's the SSRI effect, right? You wear earplugs, and so then the husband starts shouting. Is that going to fix a marriage? No. Dr. Peter Ghosh wrote several books on this topic, and he basically said SSRIs are basically placebos. Hey, well, you know what? At least they're getting some benefit, right? Yeah, but what about the side effects, okay? Because in his book, he talks about the massive serious side effects of SSRIs: sexual dysfunction, no orgasm, decreased libido. You don't
I've had people who emailed me about exactly that, low testosterone, even actual fertility issues, really bad stuff.
experience emotion anymore, worsening of the depression. Let's just compare that.
Yes, and depression is really that because in the media, depression is portrayed as really deep sadness, but anybody who has experienced depression, and I've heard this from tons of people, they will know that depression is actually no emotions, essentially. You feel dead inside, completely empty. You have no motivation to do anything. That is actual depression, not that you're sad. People with depression would do anything to actually feel sadness because at least they would feel something.
With something like St. John's wort. St. John's wort doesn't just deal with serotonin. It deals with dopamine. It's an anti-inflammatory. It even reduces cortisol. And what does the medical profession say about
Yes, and that is a flower, a very toxic, bitter flower. But of course, as usual with Dr. Eric Berg, I have nothing against the guy. He overall gives out very good information, except that when he gives you the solutions, those are usually pretty bad. In this case, it's really horrible to recommend people to take some kind of oils, tinctures from flowers. But he also recommends eating broccoli, which is also a flower. That is really strange. If we connect the gut to the brain, which he understands, then why would you be consuming any kind of flowers for an animal, the human, who doesn't eat flowers naturally, or green leaves also. I'm pretty sure that he also promotes eating spinach and all kinds of green leaves. Green leaves from bushes and all of that. Think about it. If you understand that the gut controls your mood, why would you put green leaves and flowers into your gut? It's really strange. This is what doesn't make sense about his videos. He gives out good information, he explains to you what's actually going on, and then the solution is flowers instead of what we eat in nature: blood, raw liver, brain, and so on.
St. John's wort. They say, well, you have to be careful not to take it because if you're taking that and a psych drug, you might increase.
Yeah, he literally shows you what it is. It's flowers. Would a human in nature go and eat flowers? They are bitter, you spit them out. They are poisonous.
Serotonin. St. John's wort has very little side effects, and it actually works better.
Yeah, but it always has side effects, and online a lot of people actually report pretty bad side effects. Why would you risk that? Even if you would say that it has some benefits, which it doesn't, why would you risk side effects instead of eating what you're naturally supposed to eat? And then you only get the good effects. Because if you eat also fermented animal products, such as high meat, fermented eggs, but just purely fresh animal products in their raw natural state, fuck, you will feel as high as you have never felt before in your life. Really, a lot of people actually compare it to taking some kind of drugs. I've never used any in my life. The way people describe the way they feel when they use them, it does sound a lot like it, but I wouldn't know myself. But there are people who have experienced both, and they say that it's like that, but even better, because there's no addiction to it, there's no side effects, you don't feel bad afterwards, you don't feel toxic or anything.
Than the placebo, because it's a natural thing and it does a lot of different things. And there's some interesting...
By the way, just in case you don't understand how weed, for example, works, it's supposed to make you sort of addicted to it. Then you feel good because you don't know what feeling good feels like in the moment. And that's why you become really slow and poisoned. And that's why it would be very easy to hunt you down in nature. You would be very good prey. It's just a defense mechanism of the plants. In other words, you eat them, or in this day you smoke them, they harm you by making you weak, and then in nature the consequence is obvious. That's it.
Things about Prozac. Prozac is an SSRI. When Prozac came on the market in 1988, a couple years later, 1990, there was an outbreak of some serious side effects where they had a bad batch of tryptophan. So the FDA decided to ban tryptophan for quite some time. They lifted the ban of tryptophan right after the patents for Prozac ran out. Let's shift gears to our gut. Your gut makes serotonin. It also makes something called oxytocin, a very powerful hormone that can help you.
Yes, and when your gut is damaged, it really has trouble doing that, especially if your microbiome is messed up. And nowadays, people are brainwashed to use anti-parasitic drugs. Those are super bad for your gut. Then a lot of stuff which is supposed to be good for your gut, such as ginger juice, all of those toxic root vegetables that they juice. They cover up the taste with tons of bananas, sugar, because they hate it. Those are antibiotics, garlic, onions.
With depression, stress. Typically people think about oxytocin as the hormone for bonding between a mother and a baby, or when a mother is breastfeeding, oxytocin is also there to increase contractions during a pregnancy. So it has multiple functions, but just realize that your gut makes oxytocin, and there is a highway between your gut and your brain. It's called the vagus nerve. Communication from your gut to your brain is very, very heavy. It's like 80%. And then we have 20% of information going from your brain down to the gut. So your brain is monitoring what's going on in your gut, and then the rest of your like your heart and other organs as well. That's how your brain monitors the rest of your body.
Again, great information overall. Somebody watches this, they are depressed, or they just want to learn about the topic. They learn a lot from his videos, but then the conclusion is, eat flowers. You see what I'm saying? If he would actually give good solutions, his videos would be some of the best on the internet. He has a great editing team. He's very informed when it comes to what causes these problems. But the solutions, unfortunately, he didn't learn. I don't know what's going on with him, that he always gives bad solutions to the problems. Not always, but usually.
Through the vagus nerve. And so if your gut microbes are not doing well, this alone can create depression. In fact, when other studies, when you take depressed people and you look at their gut microbiome, there are some serious missing microbes. This area of gut microbiome.
Yes, and that's because people demonize them today. The whole bacteria theory that it causes all of these diseases, that has never been proven. It's still just a belief that we have for over 100 years now. What they do when you get food poisoning, instead of looking at toxins that cause poisoning as in actual poisons, they look at your stool and say, wow, you have much more of this bacteria, salmonella. We now need you to take these antibiotics. Instead of thinking, oh, you ate something poisonous, now there's a lot more of this bacteria in your gut, which was there already. Everybody's born with salmonella, by the way. It's very important for your gut, and it produces B vitamins, for example. All of these types of bacteria which have been demonized are actually very important for certain nutrients, and as he also says, hormones to make you feel good. This is something that's kind of being ignored, and now we demonize them and more so try to destroy them. And then when you do that, you feel depressed, and people just don't connect it to the way they feel. This is the problem that we have today, this demonization of all kinds of microbes. Leave the microbes alone. The microbes have been there since you were born. And if you were breastfed and born naturally, not through a C-section, your gut microbiome is the way it is. Leave it alone, and you will be a lot happier, literally.
Underappreciated in the area of mental health. Also, if you have gut inflammation, you're not going to feel good mood-wise. This is what...
The problem I have with this term mental health is that people nowadays somehow think mentality, what is that? It should be simply called brain health. Because even though, as he explained also very well, it's usually your gut that will create these problems in your brain, but still, if it would be called your brain health, then people would think, oh, physical. Because people think, oh, mental, they think about some TV show, The Mentalist. They don't really think about the actual physical body. They think about something spiritual, metaphysical when they hear mental health. If it was called brain health, people would right away think, oh, I need to change something that I'm doing with my body. That would really help a lot.
By what you eat is so vitally important with how you feel up here. And this is all very interesting, but when you also think about antibiotics, one of the big side effects of taking antibiotics is depression, because you're now erasing the good bacteria that controls your mood chemicals. It wipes them out overnight. And then you think... Oh.
Also, he says good bacteria. That has to do with what I just explained.
Oh yeah, the microbes will start to grow back. No, a lot of times they don't grow back. So now you have this imbalance and you wonder why you're depressed. In practice, I would ask people, when did you start getting the...
Yes, and the worst kind of depression that I've seen in people is in people who took antibiotics, especially for 3-4 weeks, which is crazy that people do that, or that doctors recommend it more so, because people just blindly do what doctors recommend, and they just really felt kind of dead inside, understandably.
Depressed. Did you take an antibiotic right before that? Many times they would say, yes, how did you know? The gut microbiome is a chemical factory, good chemicals, that will send chemicals up through this nerve, goes up to your brain, and affects your mood. If you have not seen my other video, I'm going to put a link down below, but I want to tell you a little bit about this amazing microbe. You can buy L. reuteri as a microbe in a supplement, but many times it's not in a...
You cannot, no. Supplements are a whole topic of their own, but You cannot buy pills or eat flowers to feel good. It's just not possible. That's a very deep topic, but when you look at actual probiotics, prebiotics, there's actually nothing that your body can use inside of there. It's a very big business, and a lot of people got rich because of the probiotics and all the supplements. It's in the billions, these businesses, but it does not help anybody out there. You really need to go back to nature. I'll explain at the end of this video what I'm talking about.
Potency that you really need to create the effect. And Dr. William Davis told me about an amazing way to cultivate this microbe using ultra-pasteurized half and half. And you basically put it in a yogurt maker and for 36 hours, and then you just take a half a cup a day.
Wait, did he say ultra-pasteurized? No, right? Wait, what? Did he say ultra-pasteurized milk or what? Did I misunderstand something? No way, right? If anything, raw milk. With the microbes. What?
Hey, I've been doing this for months, and I want to tell you something. It's a game changer. The first thing that my wife actually noticed is she kept saying, like, why are you hugging me 5 times a day? What's gotten into you? I said, I don't know. I've been consuming this yogurt. It just makes me very social. It's really wild. She goes, well, just keep.
Yes, food does affect you a lot in every possible way. You wouldn't even understand it. The way you interact with people, when somebody comes and you're just like this, what do you want now? Eat the right food, eat raw liver, drink blood. Hey, what do you want? What's up? Or if somebody insults you or does something that you don't like, you could get really mad at them. Or you could just say, okay, you must be having a really bad day that you need to insult somebody. I hope you get better. Really huge difference. People just don't get it, how food affects everything in your life. You just don't get it until you know it.
Keep taking that yogurt. I notice my sleep's better. My muscle is better because it increases stem cell for your
steroid muscles.
muscles. It reduces stress. And if you watch my previous videos on this and you read the comments, it'll blow your mind how many people are just getting amazing results with this probiotic. It acts as a natural antibiotic without any side effects that I...
Natural antibiotic? That makes no sense. What are you talking about? An antibiotic, essentially poisoned, doesn't choose what it kills. Antibiotics just kill everything. It's not living beings. They don't go around thinking, oh, this one I'll kill, this one I won't. It's poison. That's what antibiotics are. They go in and they just wipe everything out. I don't know what he's talking about. Nobody does.
Perceive. Another interesting point about L. reuteri, like where does it come from? Well, it's actually in mother's breast milk. Breastfeeding is not as common as it was years ago. And antibiotics are extremely common. And so these gut microbes are something that we need to put more attention on. So I highly recommend that you cultivate this L. reuteri. I will put some information down below of exactly how to do it. And then you're going to realize that your depression really had nothing to do with your brain and had everything to do with your gut. Thanks for watching.
All right. As I said, overall, great information. You understand what's going on, why you feel depressed. It's actually your gut. You cannot simply mess around with your brain with some kind of drugs and expect to feel good. Okay. But then the solutions are very bad. Firstly, he mentions, as I said before, consuming flowers essentially, sort of indirectly. As for the probiotics, maybe they have some kind of an effect, but even if they do, it can never be as good as eating natural food. And this is the point that I wanted to make. I said that I will explain it at the end. Think about it. You're an animal. It doesn't matter what kind of animal. You're not eating food right now. During a famine, you're starving. How do you feel? Bad, because you want food. That's why when you're fasting, starving, which he also recommends actually, you don't feel good. Nobody does. For the first few hours, because you're eating yourself and you're trying to survive, your body is motivating you to go and hunt, but then afterwards it gets really bad. Anybody who has experienced it knows it. And of course, now this is the very important part. Just think about yourself. who are you? What are you here to do? You're here to hunt and eat. That's what life is about. But not just eat grains, seeds, and green leaves, all kinds of drugs, junk food, and then you get energy from that, and that's just how it works. You eat empty carbohydrates with drugs to make it taste good. No, you're here to consume actual life full of nutrients, energy, life force, call it whatever you want. And this is why you need to think about your body. You hunt down an animal, you drink the blood, you eat the liver first, then the other organs. What is happening now? This actual natural food enters your gut, and the microbes signal your brain, wow, you did a great job. You actually succeeded. You're eating what you're naturally supposed to. You have an abundance of these nutrients. You're very well nourished. Could you possibly then feel depressed as if you failed? It's impossible. You can't. This is also the actual only real way to repopulate the bacteria which you may have destroyed when you took antibiotics or drank ginger juice. There's just a complete lack of understanding when it comes to the human body and how this life works and what this life is about. It's about you hunting down animals and consuming their life. And then your gut gets nourished, and it signals your whole body that you did good. And when you did good, you feel good. I don't know how else to explain it, but people just don't get this because they consume seeds with drugs and they think, oh, that is food. I will eat it now. Hopefully I feel good. Well, that's impossible. That's never gonna happen. That's why everybody who starts eating naturally actually starts eating raw meat from healthy animals. It really has to be healthy animals. They say, wow, I didn't know that you can feel this way. I had no idea. This is how I was supposed to feel my whole life. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.